And we're back, Mark. The podcast is back.
Guess who's back? Back again. Yes, we are back. Yeah, sorry for our disappearance. Um,
Yeah, it
it's
was September.
September.
Mm.
Blimey.
And we've
Yeah.
had a few messages, and we've also obviously seen a lot of people as well
Yeah.
in that time who said, where's the podcast? And and we started this podcast in December 2019. And I think this is the period or the longest period that we went through with not having recorded anything.
Yeah.
And we can only apologize for that, but our schedules have been we've been quite overwhelmed with everything that we've got going on, with the shoots, with the graduations that we've had around the country, the school, all of the work that we've had has really put us both under a lot of pressure, and something
Yeah.
had to give, and just for our own well-being, really. So that was the reason why we've not actually recorded anything since September, but we are back now,
Well,
and
yeah.
this is our pre-Christmas episode. We had to put something out, and so stay tuned. We are back, and on today's show, what we're going to do is we're going to kick off with some news stories from the photography world, and we're going to be looking at some of those, and then the couple of things that we're going to talk about in a little bit more detail is AI. And I know some of you are going to say, "Oh, AI, I don't like it," and that type of thing. But this is something that's quite interesting. We think that for everyone, and then we're also going to be going through the maybe last minute Christmas gifts or gifts at any time, or even just things that photographers should be buying just for themselves. Mark and I, with a busy period that we've been through, we've been going in our bags and looking in our kit, and we're making sure, have we got this, have we got that? And it's not just about cameras and lenses; it's other useful stuff, and not the
Yeah.
obvious stuff either. So I think that's going to be interesting. And I'm sure some people are going to say, well, why would I want to keep that in my camera bag or in my kit? But believe you me, these are things that we've all needed.
Yeah.
So kicking off with the news headlines from around the photography world. So we're going to kick off with the photos, Mark, that were released by the was it the House Committee, a House Oversight Committee in the States, of the Jeffrey Epstein case. And
Yes.
last week, a lot of photos were released, which featured a lot of powerful figures in the sex traffickers' orbit, should we say, and the photos that featured President Trump, former President Clinton, there was Bill Gates, Richard Branson, and Prince. I can't say Prince Andrew. It's Andrew Mountbatten Windsor or something, I think, is his full title now, I think, is
Yes. Or the
it?
Andrew formerly known as Prince. That's how I like to think of him.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and looking at the CNN sites, we picked up there was a lot about this, and some of the bits. Now I'm going to be careful. I don't really want to say anything really about the case for obvious reasons. I don't want a BBC case being thrown at us, right?
Well, quite. We don't be sued for £1 billion, dude.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah, but the reason why I brought this up was it's a classic case of how powerful photos can be, or how misleading photos can be, or how truthful photos can be. Because I'm sure we all looked at the photos. I mean, there was a photo of President Trump. There's a picture. It was a picture of him. There was with a lady, and I'm sure a lot of people looked at it and thought, oh, I wonder what's going on there. But it was a completely innocent picture. But when we look at photos, we do look at, we make up our own mind very, very quickly, and everyone knows the story behind it. So I think people will jump to sort of assumptions very, very quickly. So we have to be very careful here what these photos do actually mean. I'm sure the truth will come out, and that's what it's all about. But the power of a photo, Mark, is very, very it's very strong, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, I'm looking through the photos now as we speak, and I don't know. There's nothing really incriminating in these photos. It's just a bunch of billionaires and high-end people hanging out. I mean, obviously they all knew him, and I think if you are a millionaire or a billionaire or whatever, you're going to know other millionaires and billionaires. So I don't know. There's nothing. There's no slam dunk here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It was worth bringing up because it's sort of saying to everyone that the photos that are taken, every photo that's taken, sort of is you're recording history, aren't you? You might go out and do some street photography, some documentary photography, a family portrait, a wedding photo, a family photo, a wedding. They're all about recording something in history. They're all about documenting something, aren't they?
Yeah, no.
And a lot of time we don't know, that we don't know the facts behind certain photos. A lot of time we don't need to know the facts behind certain photos. But when it comes to something like this, these are going to be used in a case, and they'll either work for or against the people that are trying to defend themselves. But we have to be very careful. Everyone has to be careful what they read into these images.
Well, I think there's so much stuff, and we're going to talk about AI later about how things can be misleading. I mean, photography's always been misleading as well. Now, look, I'm not defending any of these people. They could be all in it up to their elbows. I don't know. But I think that's the point I'm trying to make. These pictures, everyone was looking at them. Everyone was talking about them. They don't really say anything, in my opinion. They're just, some people in the high end of the society hanging out. That's all it is.
Exactly. That's right.
There's one Richard Branson, and it's like, well, he's a millionaire. The other one's a millionaire. They're going to talk, aren't they? I mean,
exactly. That's right. Yeah. But people mix in those, in similar circles, don't they? That's right. Yeah.
It's not incriminating as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's right.
People may not have known what he was like.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. They may have done. I mean, we don't know. We don't know.
That's right. Yeah, and it was, as I said, it was sort of world news last week. With something like that being released. So, okay, and
like Trump though, I mean, he's incriminated himself by some of the things he's said more than these photos show anything. And he's gone on the record saying this stuff. So,
exactly. That's right. But so moving on now. There's a story here that we picked up from Petapixel, and regarding a wedding photographer who found himself in a sort of a difficult situation, shall we say, where he refused a request for a photo that the groom asked him for.
Yeah. So I've been in a similar situation actually to this, and I did the complete opposite of what this guy did.
Okay,
had a happier life, I think.
Right.
So basically, he was quite a young groom, wasn't he? And they're not. I think they weren't far off graduating from what they call it college in the States, don't they? But university here. So there was a bit of a frat boy life going on, and these group of friends. Apparently they did this hazing where they had to run around in their boxers shorts or something like that, didn't they?
Yeah.
So apparently for every wedding that this group do, there's always a picture of the groomsmen with their shirt, tie, and suit jacket on, but just their kegs on, just their boxer shorts on, right? And they wanted to take this picture. And the photographer refused. He found it tacky, and he was worried because they were on the lawn of this venue he was trying to impress, and he didn't want the venue to look at him in a negative way because of this picture. As I said, he thought it was tacky. I don't see anything wrong with it personally. I'd have just taken the photo.
Yeah, I mean, he goes on to say that lastly he says, I just felt uncomfortable. It says, if I was told this when I was asked for special requests, I would have denied the wedding as I get enough work. The groom kind of looked annoyed, and I ended up getting an email from him and the bride saying they were thankful for the rest of the pictures. They were disappointed their needs were not met. For him refusing to take a photo. I take their complaint with a pinch of salt, to be honest with you, where they say they were disappointed their needs were not met. If I'm going to be very cynical here, I think people are very easy to sort of have a moan about, particularly with weddings, about things afterwards. So I pretty much just ignore that comment. But what is interesting is the original story came out on Reddit, and the comments from some of the readers is always good. It's always worth reading, and overall, I think a lot of people would have taken it. Sounds like they would have taken it. So reading some of the comments there, I've got to be careful what I read out because some of them it says, you're a professional photographer hired to take photos at the wedding, and you refuse to take a photo of the groom and groomsmen, which is your job. It says because they're in their boxes reliving some college thing. And it says basically it's a very unprofessional photographer. It says from one photographer to another, you're a bit of a snob. Another
Okay.
one says this seems pretty harmless to me, especially since they are keeping their shirts on. And let's be honest, tons of traditional wedding stuff is tacky. I'm sure the venue have seen a lot worse. So
Yeah, I mean,
what's
I read
what's
some
your
of these
thing?
comments, and I felt there was a lot of jumping on the bandwagon. And I mean, you know, he has a point of view. I disagree with that point of view, but I felt some of the comments because I did read some, and I found some of them quite entitled. It was kind of like, "You're the photographer; you should do what you're told," kind of vibe.
Hmm.
Well, no, you know, if if there was something a bit more extreme, then you still wouldn't take the photo. Do you know what I mean? In this case, though, I there was nothing wrong with the request. It wasn't particularly erotic or extreme or you know dodgy or anything like that really. I just think he's made more work for himself now, to be honest.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he probably has. And but I found with weddings now, Mark, in recent years, I got to be careful how I say this. Actually, I think things have changed where a lot of people view a lot of wedding guests and even couples as well. They view a wedding now to be basically similar to a 21st birthday or something. Okay, or just a night out. Let's call it night out plus. It's just a normal night out where it becomes a free for all. You can do whatever you want. You can just get as drunk as you like. You can,
Well, I
you
think that's
take.
always been the case,
No,
Cam.
it has. You can take your clothes off. I think there's a lot of self-respect that's gone. I've noticed that in recent years that was there before that isn't so much now. I think it's almost it's like a wedding reception. A lot of weddings I do now just seem to be the extension of a night out in a club now, rather than actually it's a wedding and we've got family here. There's older guests. You've got aunts, uncles, grandparents, that type of thing. Some people just don't. Some people just don't care.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. That's the way
Yeah,
I see it,
I'm
Mark.
not sure about that. I'm not sure about that. I
I
think
know that
we,
if I went
we've
to a
had a couple of
friend's,
them. We have had a couple
yeah,
of those where
yeah,
it's gone a bit over the top, and I think there's one that you shot that I actually missed, which
mm,
I'm quite glad I missed it. But no, I don't know about that, Cam. I think I still think the majority is a lot more respectful than that.
mm,
Actually, I find most weddings, especially white weddings, generally when it comes to the dancing part at the end, no one dances. They all just sit on a table, and actually, I find it quite. Yeah, quite tame to
I,
be honest with you. Compare it
I'll
to an
tell you,
Indian wedding.
yeah,
I
yeah.
find them quite tame.
Well, actually, I saw something on the news this morning, and it was, and I don't know whether other people saw it, but there was a bride and groom who had their first dance, and Chris Martin from Coldplay
Oh, I saw that.
uh, was
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Okay, and I know Chris Martin was there, but it was a typical first dance. There's a bride
yeah,
and groom on an empty dance floor, few people standing watching, all with their phones in their
yeah,
hands.
yeah,
Right, there was very little to no atmosphere, shall we say? That might be a
yeah.
bit, right, but that's what it's like, really, isn't it? For so many, it is. It's the way it is. There's not a lot of atmosphere created, is there? We're talking
Yeah.
about something completely different here now, aren't we?
Well, I think we have gone into something completely different. Actually, I thought. I mean, that story about Chris Martin was lovely. The wedding
Yeah.
couple asked. I don't know why they asked, but they asked if it was okay for them to play his song for their first dance. And
Mm,
he basically said, "I can do better than that. I'll come and play it for you," which I think
mm.
is lovely.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a nice story, and it's a feel good story. Yeah, I mean, first dances are all like that. I mean, people just stand and watch, and that's it. Um, yeah,
They're a
but
bit
that's
dull. That's what I'm saying. I think they're just a bit dull.
it's a bit
That's all.
harsh. It's a bit
No,
harsh.
not that
It's
couple.
the
I'm not saying
special
that
day
couple.
cam. Come on
No,
now,
no, not that
bit
couple. I think
dull.
a lot of first dances are a bit. Most first dances are a bit dull, aren't they?
Well,
From
compared
a
to Indian
photographer's point
weddings,
of view,
yes.
yeah. From a photographer's point of view, right, they're a bit dull. That's all. And some couples they don't even like the first dance, which I get, and they cut it after 30 seconds, and they get guests to come up on the dance floor. So you don't get a lot of opportunity to do those photos anyway. A lot of the
Well, I
time.
think
So
there's generally. I mean, that was. I mean, when me and Nat got married, that was the thing we were dreading the most was the first dance.
yeah,
It's a
it
strange
is.
thing because
It is.
we don't. that, it's just not us to be that center of that.
Of
Um,
course. Yeah.
yeah, which is a
Yeah.
different mindset, I guess, because
Yeah.
when you do
Yeah.
an Indian first dance, they tend to be all choreographed and they've worked like
Yeah.
days on it. It's like an
Exactly.
episode of Strictly with these pyros going off and all that kind of thing. So it's a completely
Yeah.
different thing, isn't it?
It is.
You
It
know,
is. It is. But we're going into different
we are,
conversation here,
we
aren't we?
are.
So anyway,
Let's
okay,
move on.
next one. Okay, right. So did you know, Mark, that more cameras and lenses were shipped in October than in any other month in the past 3 years?
Okay, well that's good news. It shows that the economy in photography is doing quite well.
Yes. Why do you think that? Why do you think that is? Why?
Well, you
Why
know
do
what?
you think?
I'm not sure. I mean, I have to say, I'm now. I think this was since we last recorded. I'm now a proud owner of an RF 2470 lens. And I went to I mentioned Cotswold Cameras. I used them, and they do ship things from Hong Kong, and it's £1,000 off for the lens.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's brand new. It's boxed. It has a warranty that I can register with Canon. It's no different to buying, from here. And I wouldn't have a few years ago. I wouldn't have even dreamt of doing that. Because grey imports or the warranty and it's all a bit, but that's changed. I think it's very different, isn't it?
It is. It is. And I think people have a lot more trust now in buying grey. The whole grey import thing is very rarely mentioned now.
Yeah.
It was a big thing before. Well, it's a grey import, and I think a lot of people have had to sort of give in to the fact that they're grey imports and sort of say, actually, you know what, these are a good deal, and it works for me. It doesn't work for some people, but it does work for others. And as we have, it says the biggest destination for these digital cameras in October was China, followed closely by the Americas, then Europe and Asia, except Japan, and then finally Japan. So, which isn't surprising, really, but but China's seen a big boost, obviously, there in sales as well. But it says also the only type of camera that has not had a good year so far is DSLRs. So,
well,
DSLRs,
that's not surprising, is it?
Now, well, we've had this conversation before. Well, DSLRs are still going to be around for years. Yes, they will, and it's that question of when someone says, "What camera should I go out and buy?" Putting budget aside for a minute, it's if you're going to go out and buy a camera now and you're thinking of what to buy, I don't think a DSLR is a good option anymore. You have to go for mirrorless, don't you? DSLRs are no good. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that it's the way things are moving forward. If you're going to buy a camera today, you want to sort of almost future-proof yourself.
Yeah. Yeah,
and I think that's and DSLR cameras are brilliant.
I guess it's the context. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily. With students and everything, I wouldn't necessarily say you have to go mirrorless. I would probably say, look, if you want to have a cheaper alternative, you can go DSLR. You will have to go mirrorless at some point if this is going to be a career for you. But if you want to save a bit of money, because obviously students, they're not exactly strapped, exactly rolling in the cash, then you can find some really good cheap deals there. My second camera is still a DSLR. I want to change that up this year, but they're still mighty fine cameras.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it is all going mirrorless. I mean, I don't know where bridge cameras. I'm not keen on bridge cameras. I know a lot of people have got bridge cameras, but I've never been particularly keen on bridge cameras.
No, I haven't.
And I don't know. I don't know if they're still made. I don't know if they're still able.
They are still made. Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah. Well, technically, they were the first mirrorless ones.
I guess. Yeah. I guess they were the beginning, weren't they?
Because a lot of them had electronic viewfinders back in the late 90s.
That's right. Yeah, very poor.
Very few, and they were awful.
Yeah. The electronic viewfinders were very poor. That was one of the reasons why I was really reluctant. The first sort of mirrorless cameras are terrible viewfinders.
Yeah.
Electronic viewfinders that were awful. But that is interesting that the sales are October was the busiest month in the last three years for sales. That's interesting to know that photography
hopefully it's a sign for things to come. Maybe people. Because we've all got a cost of living issue at the moment, and I mean everything does seem a bit glum, doesn't it? But maybe this is a sign that perhaps things are starting to take a positive turn. Well, we can only hope, can't we?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so next story is about a very brave photographer, photojournalist, who got caught in the middle of an incident. Or say an incident. It's from the Independent. It says, I'll quote. It says a gunman clad in a mask, tactical gear, and a high-powered rifle opened fire outside a federal building in Dallas, causing alarm and panic, but no injuries before the man was fatally shot by the police. The shooting was reported widely, but perhaps the biggest documentation of the incident came from Tom Fox, the photographer for the Dallas Morning News. And hats off to Tom Fox here. Says Mr. Fox was there at the beginning of what would have been a typical day for any Metro journalist. He was headed to the inauguration for the city's new mayor, but first stopped by the building, which houses a federal courthouse, to snap photos of a defendant in a case about charter school fraud. And while he was waiting right in front of the building, when a gunman, whom authorities identified as former Army infantryman Brian Clyde, showed up and opened fire. I don't know why I'm laughing there. It says, instead of running, our photographer, Mr. Fox, his first instinct was to take photos. And it says the results offered a rare glimpse of an active shooting from the perspective of someone in the immediate path of danger. And Tom snapped one of the gunmen taken from just a few meters away as a man approached the building in a low walk, his gloved hands holding a gun and ammunition clips racked on his belt. And authorities later said that the man had 5 30-round magazines. And Tom Fox also snapped photos of people, a security guard and a man in a suit fleeing as the gunman released a volley of shots. Very brave. And, it's very easy to say, oh, well, look, if I was a photographer, I would have done that. But, when you're in that situation,
you don't know you're going to do that, do you?
That's right. Yeah, you go into protection mode, don't you? Just without even thinking about it. Probably for most people, I would say, even the best photographers, the last thing that have in their mind is taking pictures. They're just going to go for safety somewhere. And
absolutely.
So, he said your journalist instincts just kick in. You use the camera as a shield. Yeah, it's incredibly brave, but I don't necessarily know whether your journalistic instincts just kick in for most people. If that would be the case, most people would look to get to safety first of all. It says his first move was to grab his camera was a simple reflex, right? and it was for him, but I'm saying I think for most people, I don't think it would be.
No, I don't think it would be. I think it's. What's his background? Is he? Has he been in war zones before?
No, he hasn't. No, not at all. It's the first time that he's ever been shot at, he'd said. There's that, which makes it even more sort of a story, for more brave, because it's not something he'd never been in that sort of situation before. He just did it. I could understand if he'd said that, he was ex-army or something. It would have been that. But so hats off to Tom and getting pictures and seeing those pictures. Unfortunately, as I said, the guy that did it, that had the gun, was fatally shot by the police. So not a nice story, really.
Not a nice story, no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the last one from around the news from around the photography world comes to camera gear and Canon users. Now, Mark, you and I were both Canon R6 Mk3 users.
Well, Mark 1 users.
Mark 1 users. Mark 1 users.
We ain't got Mark 2s. Yes.
Of course, the Mark 2 didn't come out. Now, why did you not buy the Mark 2?
Well, the Mark 2 wasn't out when I bought the Mark 1.
No, but why have you not bought one since?
Money, I guess.
I haven't bought one. Well, I haven't bought.
There's a couple of reasons. First off, like I said earlier, I have a DSLR which works fine, and that is my second camera. I've also got a load of VF lenses. I've recently just bought the RF 2470. I need to do the same with the 7200 that I've got, yes, I'm probably going to buy next year a Mark II. Well, that was my plan anyway. And then of course the Mark III came out.
And the Mark III has come out.
So should I buy a Mark III? That's the question.
Well, you would think naturally you've got a Mark I. So if you are going to upgrade, and change, the natural thing would be think, well, I've got to go for the Mark III.
Yeah.
Okay. But what are the differences, and is it actually worth an upgrade? Because also, first of all, I must say that for me, the upgrade going from Mark I to a Mark II was I didn't need to. The Mark I gives me everything that I need.
There were some improvements with the Mark II. I wish I'd waited a little bit. to get the
Do you
Mark.
really? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. To
Well,
me,
you don't use the iFocus, do you? And I do.
I don't know.
There's a really good difference with the iFocus between the Mark One and the Mark Two. So
Interesting.
basically, with the Mark One, you've got iFocus setting, and then you've got all the other focus settings. With the Mark Two, you've got all the focus settings, but within those focus settings, you can turn off iFocus and or switch it on, which for me is quite useful because it's kind of
Yeah.
nice to have an area focus with the eye focus, which I
Yeah.
don't have on the Mark One. I've got there is point focus, but it's not eye focus.
Now we've spoken about this before. You know, when a camera manufacturer, whether it's Nikon, Sony, Canon, whoever, Panasonic, whatever, when they have a camera, say like the R6 or say the Nikon Z50 is example, or
Yeah.
the Z7 or whatever, the Mark II comes out or the Mark III comes out. I think a lot of people, I think a lot of professionals are more aware of whether it's worth an upgrade or not. Okay,
Mm.
and they will regularly part exchange cameras and gear, which is what I tend to do. Okay, to upgrade. Your average hobbyist photographer, amateur, should we say, they'll they'll have, say, let's say they have an R6 and the R2 comes out and they immediately think, right, I'm missing out on something, or now the Mark III has come out. The difference is that in these upgrades is not huge. Okay, it's not like like the R6 Mark One is now completely out of date. It's a terrible camera. It takes terrible pictures. No, that's far from.
Not at all.
Like, that's far
I
from
would
it.
say though there are bigger differences between the 2 and the 3 than there were for the 1 and the 2.
There are, and we were looking through the differences, weren't we? And basically, what we came to the conclusion that it was more so to do that the upgrades are really to do with video. And
well, let's go for the highlight one, shall we? Because there are some differences with the photography side of things. So first off, it's got 10 million extra pixels, I think, or over 10 million extra pixels, which is a big one. So I mean, the Mark One is about 20 something million pixels. I think the Mark Two went up to 24, but this is 34. So how many? That is a marked difference.
Okay, so let me stop you there just a second. Right? First of all, why do you need those extra pixels? Okay, now it's got to be.
I don't. I'm not saying I do, but it is a marked difference. Actually, I would be tempted for my studio work, because actually, if you're going to print something big, you do need the bigger pixels. I think if you're doing print copy or something like that, actually the bigger pixels do come in handy. I think.
So there's a reason for that. So you think about a reason why. That's right. Yeah.
But with extra pixels comes issues with low light. Is generally what I found as the bracket. I'm sure there might be some expert can tell me if I'm wrong or not, but that's what I've noticed. And looking at the tests with these, the Mark II works better in low light than the Mark III, especially on the higher ISOs. It's less grain with the Mark II than there is on the Mark III. So that's, for me, a downside, and I can only assume that's because of the higher pixel rate. So for me, shooting weddings, I need actually higher ISOs rather than 34 million pixels. So that's actually swaying me not to go for the Mark III, which is kind of random.
Yeah. Okay. And the other things that we sort of looked into was that it got a faster focus, a faster buffer. Yeah. So that's going to suit sports photographers. It's going to suit wildlife photographers. Now, first of all, if a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, I love doing wildlife, so I need to get the Mark III." No, you don't necessarily. The Mark I is still perfectly good. The Mark II is perfectly good. The Mark III, okay, is a bit of an upgrade from it, but not so dramatic that it makes the Mark I and the Mark II unusable. You know, that's important to say that, because they're great cameras. The Mark I's a great camera. The Mark II is a great camera. Just like the Nikon Z6 Mark I, the Nikon Z7 or the Z50 Mark I's are all great cameras. But a lot of the differences also, as we're saying, was to do with videos. And one of the things I found that was quite important, would be really important to me, because we have this problem with the Sonys that we use, is the overheating. So the overheating is far better on the Mark III than it is on the Mark II. So that's something that would really, really be of interest to me. Although I don't use the Canons for video, we tend to use the Sony A7 range. And there is a big problem there with overheating on that. We can put it on certain settings to reduce that, but it's always been a bit of a problem. It's got it's got just higher quality. It's got 4K, a better improved 4K slow mo. It's got different C logs, and that's like raw video files. I won't get into
Yeah.
that much more because it gets a little bit technical. Yes, there are some upgrades. If you've got a Mark II, do you need to run out and go out and buy a Mark III? No, you don't.
No.
Okay. Find out, and don't, if it's got 30, if it's an upgrade in pixels, it's work out, do you need those pixels? First of all, do you ever print your pictures off? And if you do print your pictures off, do you print them up big? And if you print them up big, is how big do you actually print them?
Yeah.
Okay. So don't go, so you have to think logically about those upgrades when any camera comes out. And that's pretty much really what we're sort of saying, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, my decision was I'm going to buy. I want to buy Mark II next year. The Mark III came out, and so I was like, do I go for a Mark III or do I go for a Mark II, which will also be cheaper now because the Mark III is out. So, and reading up on the spec, there's several reasons why I'm probably go with the Mark II, and this is just for me personally. But the general feeling is with the faster buffering and the faster focusing is, even if you're a wildlife or sports photographer, you only feel that you need to go for that faster focusing and buffering if you feel you're missing shots with the Mark II that has a lower one. If you don't feel you're missing shots, then there's no need. That was the general advice, is what I've been hearing. Also, as I said, the Mark II works better in lower light and on higher ISOs. Which for a dark church is what I need, really. Also, the dreaded what's it? The CF Express card is now on the Mark III, isn't it? And
Goodness me.
yeah, I mean that's how they do the faster buffering. That's why they need it. So it is needed. But I do prefer having two SD cards, quite frankly.
Do you know what? Unless you are unless you're shooting fast action where you need stuff like a sports event, those CF Express cards are they're not necessary in my opinion.
No.
Right? This whole thing about, well, I mean, first of all, cost aside, they are expensive. But CF Express card or XQD cards, as Nikon use, they're supposed to be more reliable, more waterproof, better in colder temperatures. They buffer faster. But how many people need that quicker buffering? You can upload, download quick, and all that. And your pictures are safe on there as well. And as I've always said, is what if you lose one?
What I don't understand is if you need that faster stuff and it is all this more secure and everything, why isn't there two card slots for CF Express? Why is one still SD? I don't understand.
No, there are. You can get.
Yeah, cameras. But the Mark III is an SD and a CF Express.
Okay, so I wonder if there is a version where you can put two CF Express cards, because
maybe
we've worked with there is somebody I know who's got a Nikon, I don't know which one it is, it's a Z9 actually. His camera takes two XQD cards.
So Z9 is
Nikon.
Is flagship? Is that flagship?
Yeah, Nikon's flagship. So you can get a version that has two XQD card slots. You can get a version, I think, that has XQD and an SD, and I don't know if it has a version that has two SD card slots. For the work I do, I would just go for SD cards because I've got a ton of them. Right.
Yeah. I don't see. I mean, for what I do, I don't see the need for a CF Express, really. So that was another thing that's put me off. And also battery life. I find with the Mark I, the battery life is. I think I can go through 3 batteries during a wedding on the Mark I, and it's still only one battery on the 5D Mark III. So there is a big difference there, and apparently the Mark III is even worse.
And here's another thing as well. Because I've been in this situation sort of long time ago, working with somebody else. I need an SD card. Have you got a spare SD card? No, I don't have one with me. But I need something to shoot. And right. Well, the local petrol station or Tesco's down the road will sell an SD card. You can just run it. You can get an SD card from anywhere, pretty much. You can't get an XQD or a CF Express card from Tesco, can you?
No, you cannot.
You think about these things when you're out there working or in that situation, or you're on holiday somewhere, and or you've lost your XQD card or whatever, right? SD cards are user friendly. And the fact that if someone says to me, "Well, your pictures are far safer on an XQD card," Well, like as I always say, yeah, but what if you lose that XQD card?
Yes, yeah, no, absolutely.
So
Well, anyway, so that's my decision. I'm
yeah,
probably still going to go for the Mark II because I don't think I need to do the Mark III.
good stuff. Be interested to see that. Okay, Mark, we're going to take a quick break and then we will be back. Okay, guys, right, welcome back. And before we kick in with a couple of stories, I just wanted to give a shout out and a nod to three photographers who passed away in 2025, very well known
Yeah,
photographers. Sebastião Salgado, who we had the opportunity to meet, didn't we, Mark? It was
I
either last
know.
year or the year before.
Just didn't pan
And
out.
we were contacted but I think it was his agent, and it just didn't pan out. So that's a big regret. That is.
Yeah, that is a regret.
Yeah, Martin Parr, who passed away. That was just in the
I
last
know. Love
couple of
Martin
weeks.
Parr's work.
And Anune Sood, who's a Dubai-based travel influencer and photographer, and he died. He was only 32. Martin
Oh
Parr was
wow.
73. Sebastião Salgado was 81. So we just wanted to tip our
Yeah,
hats to those three.
yeah.
Okay, so now AI, like it or whether you don't like it, it's there, and we have to accept the fact that it's there. However, we're right at the beginning of AI, and there's a story here, and what we're really going to talk about is not so much about this story, but I just wanted to mention it. Something that was in the Guardian, and it says AI firm wins High Court ruling after photo agency's copyright claim. It says ruling in case bought by Getty Images against Stability AI is seen as a blow to copyright owners. A London-based artificial intelligence firm has won a landmark High Court case examining the legality of AI models using vast troves of copyrighted data without permission. It says there was evidence that Getty's images were used to train Stability's model, which allows users to generate images with text prompts. Stability was also found to have infringed Getty's trademarks in some cases. Now, the problem with AI is that we know is what is real and what isn't real, what is acceptable, what isn't acceptable, and also where is copyright, infringement. Where does copyright start and finish, and what are the legalities? So we have to be very careful, don't we, Mark?
We don't know. And I read that article as well. And by the sounds of it, our government doesn't really know at the moment how to sort this out. I don't think anybody does. It is worth noting, though, that the reason that this claim fell through is mainly because Getty Images actually cancelled some of their claims because there wasn't enough evidence to suggest that these images were scraped in the UK. So it sounds like the headline sounds like this is a big win for AI, and actually Getty were wrong for even trying to sue, but actually it didn't go through because of a legal technicality, really, which doesn't necessarily mean that Getty were wrong to try and sue. I'm in two minds of it. First off, AI is the future, whether you like it or loathe it. It's here. It's out of the box now. There's nothing we can do about it. And I think for going all sort of like domestic politics now, but for something that this country needs, job wise, we and also just innovation wise, I don't think it's something that we can really be seen as being left behind. We need to be world leaders really on this, and if things like this copyright infringement sort of stop that, then obviously that we need to work a way around that. On the other hand, though, as a content creator myself, yeah, I can see why people are annoyed that their images are being used without permission. So I don't really know where I stand on it, to be honest.
Exactly, because we've had a bit of fun, haven't we?
We have had a bit
with
of fun.
AI.
And I tell you what, it's some of this stuff is really, really powerful. Really, really powerful. So yes, we took some photos, didn't we, whilst we were at the grad? So I'm going to show a couple of things that I've been doing. So this is using Grok. Now I'm not an Elon Musk fan, I have to say. So it's a bit annoying that it's his, but it is a very powerful program, and it's useful. So first off, we got this picture here. So this is a picture of our friend Steve. So we all know Steve. He's part of the graduation team. Now, Steve has a little bit of reputation of dropping things. So I did a video from this. Now, this is just a photo, right? And what I did next was from this photo. Now, you can see there's a few things that are wrong there, right? I mean, so I typed it out. So just for people to understand, the C10 out bit, it was ceremony 10 is out. So I was telling everyone that the ceremony's out, get ready because students are going to come through. But also, you know, what could possibly go wrong? And it's actually spelt wrong. Now I didn't spell it wrong when I typed it in. Yeah, there is a few things that it does go. So I decided to take it a little bit further. So as you know, I do a lot of cosplay stuff. So here's a photo I took of Cassie, and I did this with it.
Incredible.
How incredible is that?
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing.
It is, and it's done in an instant. And I think that's the thing. It's done in an instant. It's a little timer that goes round, isn't there? Which takes, I don't know, 60 seconds, if that. You know, it's the time that it does it from whatever instruction that you put into it. It's quite staggering.
Yeah, it is absolutely incredible.
And the accuracy that it does it. Now, you can only do the 6-second videos, I think, with the free option.
With the free option. Yeah, that is absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's about £30 a month if you want to pay for the subscription, which I have no interest in doing. It's a lot of money. And I don't want to give it to Elon Musk either, to be quite honest with you. It is what it is. But yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. It is fantastic. And it just goes to show actually what we can do. Whilst we continue talking, I'm gonna show some other pictures just for people to look at whilst we're talking about it.
I mean, the thing is, that's good. And it goes shows what is real and what isn't. And looking through social media since sort of discovering this program, it's so obvious that a lot of stuff that I've been seeing on social media, or I see on social media, isn't real. It's not real content. It's completely fake. And you can,
deep fakes.
When you know, right? It's just not real. And then you get to the point of that's a worry. How is that going to influence us, the world? Well, it already is, and we might not be aware that it is already affecting us. And some of the decisions that we make are already being affected by that, and news stories that we see and how propaganda is spread. It's all too easy, and there is a worry there. And yet at the same time, I think the one thing that is important, at least from my point of view, really, the way I see it, and I think, Mark, you agree as well, is don't turn away from it. You can't say, well, I don't like it because of the implications of of misinformation, all of that. Yes, it is, but the thing is, that's the only way the world is moving forward now. So we have to, as content creators, photographers, videographers, whatever you want to call yourself, we have to embrace it. Now it's up to us how we use it, and how we use it sort of in a responsible way.
Well, that's absolutely right. I mean, it's incredibly creative. So you don't have to be like a skilled videographer, a skilled photographer. You can be an artist and just type in what you want it to do. I'll show you these as well. One of the studios I work for, we've done a thing with Elf on the Shelf. And obviously they've got an elf on the shelf. And we've taken a picture of it and we've animated it to make it look like the elf is up to something. Do you know what I mean? Which is good, and that's just a bit of social media that just works. Do you know what I mean? It's Christmas, it's a bit of fun, but that's just the tip of it, I think. I mean, the sort of marketing stuff you'll be able to do with this is incredible. I don't know how. I don't know job wise how this is going to work for media companies. I don't know.
Well, I've always felt when people say, well, it takes jobs away, I do always feel I'm never convinced with that argument. I do. I mean, if you look back in history, jobs that existed even 10, 20 years ago and certainly 50, 60 years ago, a lot of jobs that existed back then don't exist now. The jobs will move with whatever type of jobs are created and required. Do you see what I mean? People say,
Yeah.
well, Tesco's won't need more people because they've got automated checkouts and all of that, but they probably still have pretty much the same workworkse.
I'm not sure if they have, actually.
Because other jobs, but that's probably down to different reasons. But other jobs are created, and I think other jobs that we've got no knowledge of at the moment, that we don't need at the moment, will be created. So I'm always that's more sort of trying to look at things as a positive, I guess. But yeah, jobs
the way I'm trying to look at it, it's a tool, isn't it? So if you are creative, here is a tool for you to be creative, just like the camera, just like the paintbrush. I'm guessing lots of artists, painters were very snooty about photography when it came about. It's just a similar sort of thing. Yes,
but photography wasn't considered an art.
It wasn't considered an art for a very long time. No,
it was cheating.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the same argument we've got here, isn't it? I guess. As I say, there are limitations. Obviously, I pointed out the spelling mistake, and as I say, I didn't spell it wrong. And it does do that a few times. Also, if it doesn't have all the information in the face, it can change what a face looks like. I did someone of a woman. I was up on a balcony, and we did it so she ran and then climbed up all the balconies to get to our level. Obviously it was her at the beginning, but she was only a tiny speck in the picture, so there wasn't a lot of detail. So by the time she climbed up, she was a bloke. She was someone completely different, because obviously it scours the internet to find someone climbing up a building or whatever it is, and that's how it does it. But because there wasn't enough information from the original photo, it couldn't manipulate that image on top of the person climbing up the building. So basically, she ended up being a bloke at the top, which was kind of random.
But have a look at it, guys. It's called Grok, and it's worth trying. Said Mark's been putting some samples up, and that you've seen what you can do with it. But it's there. We're using it for a bit of fun. Yes, it does have its downside. We're aware of that, but we're just talking about the sort of just the fun element that you can have. With
also the marketing possibilities for it are incredible.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, there's just endless possibility of what you can do with it. So good stuff. Okay, and to finish off it's the last show of the year and our return as well.
It's been our first one in months, but nevertheless,
that's right. Yeah. Okay, we're going to give you a list of essential last-minute Christmas gifts, or gifts that you can give at any time of the year, or just things that you, as a photographer, should have with you in your camera bag, or in your car with you, or in your kit. With our equipment going on lorries and vans now, and somewhere in the bags and the cases and the flight cases that we have, we're going to tell you why it's really useful to have this sort of to have this stuff. So some of it's quite obvious, but some of it's not so obvious. We're not going for things like lens wipes and anything like that. So this is our top 10 list, okay? And we're kicking off with a little set of different USB cables.
Hang on. You just said we're not going for lens wipes and things, but you've gone for USB cables.
I have. The thing is, I'm saying a set of different USB cables. If you need to connect your camera to charge it, or you need to download something, or you're working with somebody.
What you're saying. But if I find that under the tree, I'll be most disappointed. I'm not gonna lie.
I think it's me really. If somebody bought me a little box of, here's some USB cables, and it's got a USB-C, it's got USB-B or USB-A, and it's got and I can use it in all situations. I'd be thinking, you know what? That's damn useful.
Oh, it is damn useful.
There you go.
It's also bloody boring.
I'd be quite excited by that. Okay. Anyway, and this is no particular order.
No particular order.
Next one is a power bank.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, a USB-C or whatever charging has arrived for cameras, which means a portable battery pack can now top off your camera alongside your phone. And it says that you can, they've got great capacity, they're pocket friendly. You don't have to carry 6 spare batteries for a whole day shoot. You can charge as you go along if you have a power bank with you. So that's something that would be very useful.
And a lot of them now, so you have the connection with the phone, so you don't even have to plug them in these days. You just
exactly.
Put them on top and
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I can't remember what Apple called it now. I've got one. What's it called? The Mag something. Is it MagSafe?
MagSafe. And a MagSafe is MagSafe the lead? Oh, I don't know,
I'm not
but it's
sure.
basically it's wireless charging. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
it's great. So if you're out for a day thinking, oh, I've got spare batteries, or oh, my batteries haven't got enough charge, your answer is your power bank. Okay, next one is a multi-tool kit, something like a little screwdriver or little spanner or something. All those little small rig things that where you can tighten something up or loosen something. You know what I'm trying to say, Mark?
yes, absolutely. This is a very blokey present. All three of
It
these so
is.
far.
It is, but it's brilliant. You need one. Every photographer and videographer needs one. Okay, the next thing is the A clamps. You know the spring clamps that we use for putting on backgrounds, Mark?
Yeah. Yes.
They're very useful to have, aren't they? Because they're useful in all sorts of situations.
They are incredibly useful. Again, if I found this under my tree, I would be livid. But yes, it's the sort of thing I would buy myself when I need them. But it wouldn't be on my list of Santa. Let's just put it that way.
Well, I think it'd be a great gift for Ken next one. You can say this more. An extension cable. Okay. An
My
extension
God.
cable. Right. An extension cable. And the reason why an extension cable, we know, right? You go anywhere, right? And whether you want to charge something up and you're away from PowerPoints, or you've got studio flash units or LED lights or something. People go everywhere without an extension cable. Think, I've got an extension cable at home or something. But do you have it in your camera kit? I know this sounds dull, but what we're trying to be a little bit different. We're not saying buy a blower brush to clean your lens and a lens cleaning
Well,
kit
that's
or a sensor
equally
cleaning
dull.
kit, right? But we're talking about stuff that you're going to say, wow, do you know what? I found that really useful. I needed this.
You're going to
I
find
had
all
to
these
have
things
this.
very, very useful. There's
Yeah,
absolutely no
yeah,
argument there.
exactly. That's right. Yeah. So, and okay, so that was on the extension cable. The next thing I've got is a decent set of gloves that can be worn when using a camera
Yeah.
with that have got the fingertip touch, so you
Now,
can
I
still use
would
the
be happy
back.
to have one of those under the tree. Yes, they are
Right.
very useful. I actually have a pair of animal ones, and it is good that you can use your phone with gloves on, especially when
Yeah.
you're in York and it's snowing.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah. So that's really important because a lot of people buy gloves, but they can't use their phone with their gloves because they need
Mm,
to take it off because it doesn't have those
yeah.
fingertips. Okay. So the last four, the big ones. Okay.
Okay.
A portable drive, a portable storage drive. Fantastic. Right. Look, I've got one here, and I think this is one of the sexiest portable drives that you can buy. I've got it here. I've got three of these. Okay. This one here is 1 terabyte. I've got a 2 terabyte and I've got a 4 terabyte. Look at that. Okay. Look at the size of that. Okay. And then look at the
Yeah.
size. Look at the size of my phone. That's my phone. Okay.
Yeah.
That's an
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
iPhone. Okay. And look at this. Look at this. Okay. And that's a 1 terabyte. And I've got three of these different sizes.
Yeah.
This is essential. That's essential. I mean, that's over 100 quid. Some of them are £300-400. It's not a cheap Christmas present.
No, it's very generous.
It's a very generous gift. I would love it if I got another one of these. All
Would
right,
you? Okay.
yeah, I would. And look, it's got a really nice case as well with it as well. So okay, so a portable drive.
Next year,
The next
I'm just going to buy you a pack of USB cables. Merry Christmas.
next thing, okay, is a MiFi. Okay, now the
Okay.
MiFi. Tell me
Now,
this isn't
this sounds
useful.
interesting. Okay.
Okay,
What's a
so the
MiFi?
MiFi is basically it's like a dongle, isn't it? Where basically you can plug it in and you can get Wi-Fi anywhere.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and the one I've got, I haven't got it here with me. Okay, or the one that I use is about the size again of a phone.
Yeah.
Okay, and you just plug it into the mains, and you're good to go. You do pay a monthly charge for it because you're paying for but if you want to, you can hotspot off that off your phone or something. I found it really useful because if we're staying in a hotel room and they've got Wi-Fi and you have to pay for the Wi-Fi after a few hours or something,
And even then, it's normally
right?
rubbish.
And even then, the paid Wi-Fi is terrible. So if you're a photographer
Yeah.
and you need to be uploading images, you can't use the paid. But even the paid Wi-Fi is no good.
Yeah.
So what you do is it's called MiFi. I think it's made by Huawei. This particular one, and basically it's basically having Wi-Fi in your pocket, wherever you go.
Yeah.
So you can plug into the mains, and then hook up, and you're good to go. And hey presto, you've got it all. So
Yeah. Very good.
and then the last two are books, a couple of books.
Okay. Now,
Okay.
these are something I would like to see underneath my tree.
Okay, right. Now, these are nothing to do with what should we say? They're not to do with how to learn photography. They're not
Yeah.
tutorial books, shall we say? They're not like that type of things. Okay, but they make quite cool coffee table books.
Yeah.
Okay, and the first one is, it says PlayStation. It's the first 30 years that shows the evolution of a console that invited us to play in a whole new world. And it says, from experimental mock-ups to futuristic designs, Sony celebrates 30 years of its famous PlayStation with photographer Benedict Redgrove.
Wow,
And
30 years.
30 years. Okay,
It's been around for 30 years.
this is such a cool book.
My
Okay,
word.
because you open up the book, hardback book, and it shows you the controllers, it shows you all the bits, but they're full page images. That's it. Okay, and some of the images, like of the PlayStation, the controller, they go across the double page spread.
Oh, nice.
You have to see it. It's
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic. Anyone who's into gaming or photography or the Sony PlayStation talks a bit of history. It said it's a great coffee table book.
It's a nice book. It's a nicely presented book, isn't it? So
it's a really nice present, and
Yeah.
it's definitely one. It's definitely one that's worth buying, and I love it. It's absolutely brilliant. And photographer was Benedict Grove.
Yeah, good work there.
And yeah, absolutely fantastic. Okay, and then the last one, okay, is if you're a fan of music and music photography, and you like the band Blur. Okay, this book here was before Blur became famous, or before as they started to become famous, where their drummer Dave Rowntree, he was photographing them pre-fame. And it says, in the Four Pieces' early years, Blur's drummer was rarely found without a camera on his person, snapping everything and anything that happened in between shows. A new book published by Hero Press brings these charming, unfiltered photos together, and you know, it's great. Again, it's a coffee table book. It's a bit of history, and looking at the pictures, they're nothing special. They're just snapshots, but the snapshots mean a lot. Okay, they give the real history of the band as they were. As I said, they're nothing special. They could have just been shot on a phone. There's a picture of the band at the end, and one of them standing.
I don't think even shot on a phone. I mean, it wouldn't have been shot on a phone before they were famous. So we're talking what? When did they become big? Was it 95, 93?
Yeah.
So it would have been disposable cameras. It would have been 35mm film.
Yeah, and no, in actual fact, what he did was he shot them on an Olympus OM10. That's what he shot them on.
So it was a half decent camera then.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and they're just snaps. That's all they are.
Yeah.
But they do have a lot of meaning. You know, we go back to that first stories that we said at the beginning. You know, of today's show. You know, the ones of the Jeffrey Epstein case that that was shot. They were released. But they all have a meaning of some sort. You know, this is his
context here.
Completely different context, of course. That's right. Yeah. And he did it. He said he had an Olympus OM10 at the time. It says it was the only camera I had. It wasn't then, and I'm not now particularly keen on equipment in photography. It says I'm more interested in what you do with it than the thing itself. And this was all about taking advantage of situations that arose. And I love that, because we all get caught up with, I want to buy this camera, I want to get this camera, whatever. The best camera, as we always say, is that you have is the one that you've got with you at the time. And if that is a cheapy little phone, a Nokia phone camera, then great. It's what you do with it and what you take with it. So
absolutely,
really good gift, really worth buying. And on that note, there we wrap it up.
We do wrap it up. So yeah. Well, have a great Christmas, everyone. Apologies again for for us disappearing. We will do better next year. We do want to get back on it. We're going to hopefully put a few things in place. We've got some exciting ideas for next year, haven't we, Cam?
Yeah, well, I've got something
that will come to fruition.
We're launching, and we'll be telling you about that in January as well. So it's some really good stuff.
Once we've got things in place, we'll have a look at that. But yeah, so have a fantastic Christmas, everyone, and we will be on the airwaves again next year.
Cheers, guys. Happy Christmas.